All right, we should be live. How's everyone doing? You can respond in the chat and see who's here. What's up, Tom? Good to see some people here. If people are filling in, that's awesome. We're going to give it some time for people to join in and finish from their previous workshops. I wonder if I can also bring in other people up to present with me. On this stage, it's all right. Hope everyone's had a great conference so far. Day 2 workshops. Hello, Linda. What's everyone's favorite workshop been so far? Maybe there's a lag. Gamer vs. Gatsby. Sounds very cool. I didn't manage to catch that one, but I'll definitely have to rewatch it on YouTube when it comes out. If Linda, while you're still here, are you able to add Thomas Dale as a moderator to this session? He's one of our salespeople. Would be great to have him as a moderator. I did a poll over in polls to see who's using imgix already. So if you want to jump over there and fill it out, that'd be cool to see. Yeah, Thomas Dale, that's the one. So much more. Yeah, Tom's a great guy. Definitely more than a salesperson. Okay, 50-50 so far. That's good. Still going to give it a few more minutes just to let everyone filter in. Give it a, yeah, maybe 5 more minutes. I know everyone's finishing up on other workshops, so I don't want to start before we have to. Great to hear that, Jason. It's awesome that we're able to answer some of your questions, and hopefully as well we can answer this today. And we're going to have a open Q the session as well in the last kind of half an hour, 20 minutes that we have left. So I'm definitely happy to answer any more questions then as well. And thanks for doing that, Linda. That's awesome. For everyone that's just joined, we have a poll going in the polls to see who's using imgix so far and who hasn't. So if you want to jump over there and fill that out, that'd be great, just to get an idea of our audience. If also, if you feel like it, you can drop in the chat where you're joining in from today. It's always amazing to me how many different different countries we have and cities and everything. So myself, I'm joining in from Amsterdam, Netherlands. Originally, I'm from New Zealand, but now I live in Amsterdam. So yeah, it's pretty late at night for me here, but I'm sure it'll be later for some other people as well. All right, so we got USA, California, Ontario, Miami, Palm Desert, Italy, awesome, ciao. Buongiorno. East Coast. New York, awesome. Some Berlin, Guten Tag. Germany, awesome. Colorado, awesome. Lots of people in here. Ronaldo asked, I'm rewriting code of my website where I have lots of images. Then that workshop was interesting to me. Yeah, definitely. Maybe at the end, we'll have an open session at the end. So if you'd like to drop it in then, or we can have a chat about it then I can maybe pull it up and see what we can recommend for you at that point. Czech Republic, awesome. That's the first one from Czech Republic I've seen. Germany, Spain, hola, Berlin, Poland. I don't know how to say hello in Poland, unfortunately. My friend lives in Gdansk, though. Maybe I should ask him. All right, a few more minutes. Colombia, Nicaragua. Oh my God, so many people. This is awesome. Amazing. That's cool. Yeah, you can definitely use WordPress as a headless CMS and then connect that to Gatsby. Cool. We'll bring it up again at the end of the workshop, and we'll try have a look at it then. Colorado, awesome. So the numbers are still going up. So we'll give it a few more minutes still. We're up at 75 people now. It's so cool. Thomas has also asked a question on the polls. So what CMS to use? Also useful for us to make sure we can integrate with your CMS well. So yeah, if you want to jump over there and answer that question, that'll also be super useful. Strappy, awesome. Yeah, if that's not listed as a one, but we'll keep that in mind as well. Strappy, 2 people for Strappy. Seems popular. Make sure I'm set up. Just a few moments away now from starting. Just let everyone join in. We're up at 80 people. That's awesome. Oh, I'm super red. I got a orange slide up on my screen, so that's giving me a red shadow. Change that. New to Gatsby. That's awesome. Yeah, it's the best time to jump in and learn about what we can do and what Gatsby can do as well. It's a great ecosystem. All right, so I think we're going to get started. I think numbers are stabilizing, so we'll just jump into the workshop. Let me jump over here and bring myself lower into the corner, and we can start to go through it. So firstly, welcome everyone. Big thank you for coming along to this workshop, and I hope you've had a great conference so far. I know it's the second day of workshops. I've heard there's been some great workshops, so I really hope you enjoyed this one as well. I'm Frederick Fogerty. I'm a software engineer at imgix, and I've spent a little while working on our Gatsby integration, so I'm really excited to show you all through that today. And I guess I hope that by the end of this workshop, you can hopefully wait a little bit less for your images to build. I know it's a big problem for some people, and more doing what you love, which is doing some coding. Don't we all love it? So just firstly, a bit of an outline of the workshop today. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. I will be keeping an eye on it. So if you ask some questions there and I see it and it's a short one, I'll answer it straight away. But otherwise, we'll have a session at the end of hopefully about 20-30 minutes of questions and answers and open discussion. So definitely also plenty of time for questions at the end if I don't see it during the workshop. Also, Thomas or Tom from our sales team is here as a moderator, so he'll be able to answer questions probably for you as well during the workshop, even if I don't see it. So multiple people on deck today. Cool. So then firstly, we're going to be going through what imgix is for people who are not familiar. I think we have 81% don't know what imgix is. So it's all new to you. So we'll definitely go through that first. Then we're going to be looking at how our plugin works with Gatsby image, or compared to the current Gatsby image workflow, and also compared to the new Gatsby plugin image that was released during this conference, which is awesome. Then some benefits of our plugin compared to just having raw images. Then we're going to be looking, or the meat of this workshop will be going through some code, so showing you how to go from a Gatsby website that's already running with Gatsby image to adding our plugin, configuring that, converting images over, and showing you a little bit of what you can do with our plugin. And then finally, opening the floor open for questions and open discussion. Cool. So what is imgix? Imgix is primarily a image processing service. It's hosted as a URL-based API. So everything is done as a URL, and you can add parameters and modify your image using just URL parameters. So it's really handy, it's really versatile, and can be used in a whole bunch of different areas. You can see in this example we're modifying the size of this image, we're formatting it, we're changing the shape, we're cropping it, focusing on that sun there, adding a watermark, and all this is just possible with URL parameters, and those images can also be stored anywhere on the web. So it's really, really versatile, and lots of our customers love what we do. A bit more of a high level. So you can also see more about this later on our website, imgix.com, but our service starts with managing your images. So although we don't matter where your images are stored, they could be stored on S3, Google Cloud, also anywhere on the web. On the web, we can proxy any image. We will show you all images that come through our service that you request, so you can see all those images that come through. You can categorize them. We run machine learning on them, so you can filter them and you can apply parameters to them, and lots of different stuff in that manager. So that's a really new, really useful tool that we just released. Then the main part of our service is our kind of URL API. So that starts off with transformations. So really simple transformations such as rotating images, changing color, focusing on a specific point. But then we have more complicated transformations, such as looking for faces, cropping to a specific area, and then lots of ones. There's so many. You can go look at our docs. Then the next step is to optimize your images. So we make sure that the images that are served to users are the right format. So we support WebP for Chrome and Firefox. Otherwise, we use JPEG. We also will transform GIFs. We'll transform GIFs to MP4s, to videos to save on bandwidth. And also soon we'll be rolling out AVIF support. So that'll be really great to even further reduce, Tom just asked AVIF. And definitely I'll go over the comparison with static image and Gatsby image. So we support all those formats. And I lost my train of thought there. Then the next thing we do is make sure that the image that's served is the right size. So if you're on a phone, we'll scale the image down. If you're on a desktop, we'll scale it. We make sure it's a big image so that we're not wasting any bandwidth. And then we can also kind of compress and change quality on the fly. So say if you had a big image on your page, you could lower the quality for that image because it's not so important to have it be super clear, and it would save a lot of bandwidth. And then for smaller images, you can have higher quality if you want. So it's really easy to tune your performance as well. Yeah. Then finally, we deliver your images. So we have a CDN, which has pretty good performance all around the world. We deliver images and we cache everything at the edge. We have multiple layers of caching. So once your image is requested through us once as well, we don't request it from you again. We cache that forever. So we have a pretty sophisticated caching system and also purging system. So what we can purge globally within 1/4 of a second. So that actually means you can kind of reach some near real-time image stuff, which is really cool, I think. That hasn't been used too much, but the potential is really there, I think. Cool. I don't see any more questions about imgix too much, but we can definitely answer some more if there are more questions later on. Cool. So moving a bit on to what our plugin does compared to how Gatsby Image works. So this up here is kind of how a normal image flow would look like with Gatsby Image and Gatsby plugin Sharp. So your images would be stored on a headless CMS somewhere, in this example WordPress, but there could be any headless CMS really, or anywhere on the web. Then they would be downloaded to your computer, and then you would start developing your website. And then as you're developing, you would resize the page. So you refresh the page and the images would resize and transform. And this can add quite a lot of time to your development cycle. So famously, the Gatsby's own website used to take 30 minutes to rebuild every time. So that's a really long time. And then they were able to drop it down to like, I think it was 3 minutes or 2 minutes. So like 10 times faster if they got rid of the images. And that's just what we do. We get rid of the images, as you'll see. And for one of our customers, they had a really basic website and they started using our plugin, and they went from 20 seconds to half a second per page load. So that was really, really a big improvement for them. Honestly, they just had a really simple site. So with a bigger site, you'd see even more benefit there. Then you've coded your website, it's looking great. You want to serve it to your users. So you upload it to your hosting solution, which takes also another resize. And then your image is stored on your hosting solution. All the different variants are stored there, which costs you storage space, storage cost. And also you have to serve those images to your users, which costs you bandwidth. And what you'll see with our solution is we kind of just skip out all the middle stuff because we can handle images that exist anywhere on the web, and we're a URL-based API. We go straight from the source to the user, basically. So instead of those images having to download and then be re-uploaded and resized every time, during development, all that has to change is the URL. Nothing else has to be recomputed on the client or on your server, should I say. So then your rebuilds are super fast. And then once you publish, all you're doing is publishing a URL rather than an image. So nothing is stored, no images are stored in your server. Instead, they're loaded through our server when the user wants. So that saves you in development time, publish time, storage space, and also bandwidth. And this is one of the, actually surprising to me, one of our customers really said that was a big thing for them was the bandwidth savings because their servers had less load as well. So just to kind of concretely go through that, we say we have faster build times, there's less bandwidth for you from your servers. We offer better responsiveness than Gatsby Image. That's no fault of Gatsby Image, but it's just because they have a trade-off between offering different sizes of an image versus build time. Every other variant they add another kind of resize that needs to be done, slowing down builds. So they have to make a trade-off there, a compromise. And we don't, because we have everything in the cloud. So we actually create 37, by default, 37 different sizes of images. And that means that the images that will be requested is more likely to be closer to the actual resolution of your target user's device, rather than being a bit further off. Razor asks, can we pass images with props? Not quite sure what you mean by that, but we can definitely get into that later. You also have access to our transformations, like I mentioned, and you'll hopefully see in the workshop as well some good transformations you can help. That'll help you deliver a better experience. And also, finally, important one, you can still use Gatsby image. We don't want to reinvent the wheel here, so we kind of we change the processing behind the scenes of how Gatsby image works, but we still use Gatsby image. And for you, you can still use the same API, same component. We've tried to keep our API very similar to what Gatsby image does on the GraphQL side. And you can still use everything that you're used to. So placeholders, lazy loading, the great performance that it brings, blur up, pretty much everything you're used to is still there because we still use that component. Of course, you can use just a basic image component as well, but I think most people will be using Gatsby image because why not? Let's be honest. Yeah, and definitely a listener asked, can we use the new Gatsby image? Yes, definitely. We've actually been working pretty closely with the creator of that from a couple of months ago. So we supported that, like we support it right now, actually. So if you install our plugin today, you can still use the new Gatsby image, which is great. Cool. So we're going to jump next into the code, but I know some people might drop off, and I want to make sure you can get some more information if that needs to happen. I understand you have other workshops or other things to go to. So there's a few ways you can contact us in here. You can go to our website, imgix.com/contact us, and then we will get back to you. You can send us an email at sales@imgix.com. You can drop your email in the chat on the side there, and we will reach out to you very soon after this workshop. I'm also on Twitter at Fred Fogerty, so you can reach out to me on there specifically if you have questions about or problems with the new plugin. And also, don't miss out on we have a discount of $300 for imgix, so that really will last you a long time, maybe even up to 12 months. I'm not quite sure where that is able to be redeemed, but I'll let Tom. Tim's just dropped in the chat there, so if you follow that URL that's just been dropped in the chat, it'll also be at the end. You'll get $300 off our service, which is awesome. Sasha had a question. So your plugin hooks into Gatsby Sharp, Gatsby image. Yes, so you have Gatsby plugin Sharp, which does the processing, and you have Gatsby image, which does the displaying. So we replace Gatsby plugin Sharp, and we interact with Gatsby image. I hope that kind of clears it up. Yeah, and as Tom said, you can still use blur up and everything, which is great. All right, let's jump into the code. So we're going to be covering three different use cases, which we can cover with our plugin. Most people, I think, will use the first use case, which is having images stored in a headless CMS somewhere, bringing those images and that data through with GraphQL, through a Gatsby source, and then transforming those images from the source and displaying them with Gatsby image. The second use case is images that exist statically. So you can think of like a site logo or a site background or something that's just more fixed, or maybe an image on your About Us page, like your profile picture or something that's more defined with a fixed URL rather than kind of dynamically generated. And the last one is images that are displayed after page load. So images that can't be requested through GraphQL, they're requested from some other data source, but you still want to use Gatsby image with them. Cool, so let's open up here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Close out my browser. All right. So what have I got here? So on my right-hand side, I've just got my editor up, and this is a simple Gatsby site. I'm just going to get it running. A simple site that uses Contentful. So we'll be using Contentful today. as our headless CMS, and we're going to be taking data from Contentful and transforming it through our plugin. It's still just building here, starting up, so we'll just let that run a little bit, and then hopefully I can show you the result of that so far. All right, so it's loaded up. So on the left here, I just have a preview of this website. I'll run you through the source code in a bit, but it's just a really simple blog site. So it has a logo up here. This is a statically defined image. This is use case number 2. This data at the top here and these articles come through from Contentful. So that's use case number 1, and we're going to be replacing those with imgix images. You can see they're kind of cropped, kind of weird. And we can fix that up, you'll see in a second. And then lastly down here, these are images, or this is an image that will change on every page load. So there's no way to kind of statically define or statically transform those images with GraphQL. So what do we do first? So if you want to get started with our plugin, the best place to go is to our Github repository. So our Github repository is imgix/Gatsby, github.com, imgix/Gatsby. It's also on our libraries page on our website, and you jump into the README, and this is the best place to find out about how to use our plugin. It's quite extensive documentation, so hopefully everything is covered in this README for you. But let's get started. So first thing we do, jump to the Get Started section, and we need to install our plugin. I've already done that in the interest of time, but it's quite simple, just install the plugin like that. Then nextly, you want to look at the section down here to determine what part of the configuration you need to go to. These maps, these are the 3 use cases that I mentioned before. So this is a headless CMS, this is images that are statically defined, and these are images that are dynamically requested after build time. Then we're gonna look at all these. So we're just gonna look at the first configuration step. So we jump down to this section, and first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna copy and paste this configuration into our Gatsby config file. So I will bring that up in my editor. Also, I hope this code is big enough. So if I need to bump up the font size or anything, please let me know. I'll look at the chat just briefly, but I think it should be all good. Bump it up. All right, I'll bump it up. Hopefully that's better. Okay, so this is our Gatsby config file. We're going to drop that config that I just copied into here. And we're just going to run through what it says here and fill out these steps. So firstly, we need to configure our imgix domain. So this is when you create an imgix account, your images are delivered through a source or a domain. This account has many of them, but we're going to be using this source for now. And for a source, you can see all the bandwidth and the requests and everything, and you can configure everything by source, and your account can have multiple sources. But we'll be using this source today. So we're just going to quickly change this domain to the right source. And then we're also going to change the secure URL token. You can find that in the sources page under security token. I'm not going to show you it because it's private to us. And therefore I've stored it in an environment variable. But this will, that should be it. Next we're going to look at the source type. We're not going to change this for now. This source is a proxy, it's a web proxy. Get that as web proxy. Then we have some default imgix parameters that we want to set for all images. This is our recommended default. So this means that all images will be set to the right format for your browser. So WebP, AVIF, JPEG, MP4. Those will be transformed on the fly. And then compress. We recommend this to, this is a good middle ground between quality, visual quality, and reducing bandwidth. So we think this is our default we recommend for all users. So we're just going to leave that on for now. Cool. Next, we need to configure which nodes we want to modify. And this is a little bit of a tricky part, so let me run it through pretty slowly. So if we look at the page, this is just the source code for this page that I just showed before. We scroll down to the query. This is the data that's, this is the query that requests all the information for this page, or at least for the blog posts. I'm just going to copy this over into the graphical editor that Gatsby provides. This is just at /__ graphical. If you're not aware, it's really, really useful. It allows you to build up your page queries really well. And we're just going to run this query, and you see this is the data that the page gets, and this is the query on the left-hand side. And we want to focus on modifying this image. So we need to target this node. You can think of, so each blog post is a node. It has a node here. This is one node, and then a blog post has an image node. And you can see if I hover over this, you can see it has a type of Contentful asset. That's the node type. Not important for the node type right now, but just to give you an idea of what nodes are. So we want to try and modify this node. And how we do that is, firstly, I recommend we have some example configurations for popular plugins. So fortunately, we have a Contentful example here. But if your source isn't listed here, then there's quick instructions on how to set that up. But that's really quite straightforward. But for now, we're just going to copy and paste this config over. Definitely, we need Strappy. We'll be adding that first thing tomorrow, I think. Cool. So I copied over that, and then I'm just going to jump back into my terminal and restart my server just to make sure everything's running well. And while that's going, I will kind of explain a little bit of what's going to happen next. So when I said we want to modify this node, what's going to happen is actually once the server restarts, we will be able to pull data or pull an image from imgix as if it came from this node. So what will happen is you'll be able to use those fixed and fluid attributes that you're used to with a parameter, with a fragment, of course, or the new Gatsby image data. And I think the server has loaded, so I can show you kind of what that looks like. So for instance, if we loaded a fixed image, we need to pass a fragment, as you're well familiar with Gatsby image. And then we can maybe set this to have a width of, say, 100. And we'll just request this. And we'll show you a little bit about what's happening here. So right now, this source here is from Contentful. You see it has cdfassets.net. Since when do fragments run in GraphQL? Yeah, good question. I also just tried it one day and it worked, so it's great. I think it came in with the new Gatsby v3. Really big improvement, but yeah. So this is Contentful, and then you can see down here we have imgix image, and this is our placeholder image. And then down here, now we have a URL, which is proxied through imgix. So we have CDF assets, that image from before, which is now proxied through imgix. And this is how the plugin works. It takes all those images and proxies them with the URL through imgix. Pretty straightforward. I hope everything's going all good so far. If you have any questions, please, again, do drop them in the chat. I am looking at it. So on to updating the source code. So what we need to do is, as I kind of showed here, all we need to do is just add imgix image to this query. And we can actually just go and copy and paste this pretty much down into here and just change this fragment. And if you blink, you'll miss it. And that image is now being proxied and loaded through our plugin. Now, those images aren't using our plugin yet. We just have to actually go and change the actual code for that. So that exists inside this article preview component. And we're just going to update this really quickly just to use our data, which flows into here. And now those images, if we refresh this, I think, those images should be using our service. And nothing changed, which is, one, a good thing, because nothing should change. But now we have some power to fix up these problems that we had here. So, you know, before how I mentioned we have powerful parameters. So what we can do is we can start to use some of those parameters in here. So we would like to fix this kind of cropping behavior. And luckily, imgix has pretty sophisticated cropping or cropping functionality. Then what we can do is we can say to imgix, we want to crop by faces. So it will actually go and look at those images, find the face, and make sure that when we crop those images down, we keep the faces centered. And just like that, actually it auto-saved. I didn't press save. But straight away, those images are now cropped and re-centered on the faces, which is already a huge improvement for here. We also have focal point cropping and other things, but yeah, faces is pretty great. Then we can actually go and specify a second strategy here to look at this third image. So this is already looking pretty good, but I think we can do a little bit better. If we do entropy, hit save, then you'll see this page will refresh on the left-hand side, and that will come down a little bit and focus a bit more on what's happening in the image and less of just the blank space. And finally, we can specify a fallback, which is just center cropping. Another really cool thing I like is that we can add watermarks. So I showed it before, but we can add a watermark quite simply. If I need to go over and copy a URL for a watermark really quick. So if I copy, this is just a URL, an image that exists on the web. Actually, it's the same image that I'm using at the top, pretty much. And I want to use a different one. This is actually a really good example of imgix in use. So this is a PDF file that's on the web. If you were to go to this as a PDF file, and we're pulling an image out of that PDF, reformatting it as a PNG, resizing it, and everything. So I think obviously that was pretty powerful. We also support Illustrator files, so your designers could just upload, and they can upload their Illustrator file. It will process that on the fly. You can pull images out of Illustrator files. So that means that they don't have to worry about creating different sizes or anything, which honestly to me was a game changer. So now we have that watermark in there. Just going to make it a little bit bigger. So we say, save that, a little bit bigger. Awesome. And one thing I want to note is that this watermark is not done with CSS or any magic. So these images are actually, if I open up a new tab, those images are actually, the watermark is fixed for that image. It's actually part of the image. And you think, oh, maybe it's your role parameters, maybe the person who wants to get the image, they can just go through here and delete this watermark. I'll just do this. I can find the end of it. I'm just going to delete this watermark out of the URL, and see what happens. Huh? Well, that image won't be loaded because every image that is requested is signed which means that the image will only be requested with those parameters intact. So means that if they try to get rid of that watermark or load a bigger image or anything, not going to happen. It will just be forbidden. Awesome. Let's see if we've got any questions in the chat. So I'm glad I can help you out, Tom, with that IDE stuff. So exactly, David Lee, only the images. So we only request those images when you request them in your query. So this query, well, it requests all the blog posts, but let's just say it only requested 5. We would only request 5 images from your service, so we don't over request. We'll have a repo for this workshop. Yep, at the end there'll be a link to this repo, which is on GitHub at this stage. Yep, demo will be online. As Tom said, yeah, Watermark is responsive. Yeah, it's a good point. So if these images go smaller, you can see those images. It responds. Yeah, cool. I think that's good so far for the questions. So let's continue. That was the first use case, and I imagine that'll cover honestly most people's well, the majority of use cases for our plugin. But let's dive in and look at what we can do for this little image. So this is an image that statically defines. As I kind of mentioned, it's the images that exist at a fixed URL. And if we open up the component for that, it's just layouts. You can see right now this image is being loaded as just as a standard image tag. But let's say you want to use Gatsby image for that. So what we can do in here is we can use another, use the hook from Gatsby called use static query, and we can pass some code into that. Let's make sure I import the right thing here. I think that should be right. Okay, that's fine for now. So we're just going to write a query. So before I jump into this, I'll show you over an editor. So with use case number 1, we were modifying a node that exists. So this is a query that's provided by Contentful, and we modified that query or that node. But also we have another API which is at the root. So this is a root-based API, and here you can pass any image in here, and we will proxy that. So it doesn't have to be part of a node per se. So then in here we have everything from before. Oh, that's we were used to. So we have fluid and fixed, and also Gatsby image data. So supporting the new Gatsby image. I will show that at the end, by the way, so stick around for that. I'll just show you quickly how we support the new Gatsby image plugin, because I know everyone's excited about that. So Gatsby image data. So let's just say fluids, and then Gatsby imagix fluids, and then boom, you have a fluids image for any image that's on the web. All right, so let's transfer this back over into the source code. So I'm going to take this image. It's actually the same image I used before as the watermark, or the same PDF file, actually, different image. And we're going to pull a fixed image out of that. And we're going to use our fixed fragments. Then we're going to use Gatsby image instead. And we're going to use that data that we just loaded. Make sure we import the right components. And I think I might also need to import this. It's not happy with me. And if all goes well, all did not go well, we need to, yeah, For a fixed image, of course, we need to add a width. So if we add a width to this, then yeah, you can see before we were displaying a huge image. So yeah, let's use 100, and now that logo up there is using imgix. In this case, not much we can do to improve anything here. We could, rotate it by 90 degrees, but I don't know why you want to do that. So for now, we're just going to leave it as it is. But if you look briefly, I think you can tell if I hard reload this, there's a placeholder which will show up for there. Yeah. So that's also a placeholder that's generated by our plugin, and also these will have placeholders, of course. Yeah, we can watermark the watermark, definitely. Cool, so that was a more quick run through of the second use case. And the final use case is images that load dynamically. So this is the bottom section of the website with some images, and every time the page loads, it loads a different image or just a randomly picked image from a small set. And up until Gatsby v3, there was no way to handle images that were dynamic. Now there is, because Gatsby have supported that. But this will support that for the old Gatsby image and also the new one. So that code for this image is shown here. So just a simple image down here. We're picking a random image from a set of images. You can imagine this could be from a API request or some third-party source or loaded, after the page load. And that image can't be defined at build time, which is the crucial part. These images which come through from Contentful or the logo, they're known at build time, but these aren't known, so they're just being pulled in after the fact. And we support actually a really simple API here to use this with Gatsby image. Don't actually need any configuration for this, so you can skip the whole first configuration step. And if we just make sure we import Gatsby image, or Gatsby images, that's not right. Then we have Gatsby image there, and we can do this as a fluid image, and we export a, I'll import it up here. So we, from our npm repo or our library imgix/Gatsby, we export a simple function. We export two functions, one for fluid and also one for fixed. So build fixed image data and build fluid image data. These will convert any URL on the web that is using imgix to a Gatsby image compatible kind of format. Luckily, these images are from Unsplash, and actually Unsplash behind the scenes uses imgix. So it's pretty fortunate that we can actually do this. But you can imagine you could have images in an imgix S3 source or web folder source, and you could very easily proxy images through here. So what we do is we call this function, and we pass it that URL. This is actually just a URL, to be clear. This could be any URL. You say it's a URL. Then we pass it some imgix parameters. We need to set aspect ratio because of a limitation with Gatsby image. And that will be all for now. And then that image will now be loaded through. Can I scroll down? Yeah, I can scroll down. Oh, my head's in the way. Sorry about that. So then that image is now loaded through imgix and through Gatsby image. And you can see in here, if we inspect this, that image is no longer an image tag, but it's properly a Gatsby image, so picture, source, and so on. And that's loaded dynamically. So those images are being generated after the fact, but they still have all the Gatsby image stuff. And then with the new version of Gatsby image, they'll even have placeholders. So that's really, really useful. Great. Let's take a few seconds to answer some questions. Good to see everyone's liking it so far. Perfect use case for the new static image component. Yes, definitely. We will be supporting that component as much as we can. Does this plugin support lazy load? Yes. So all these images, like we're using Gatsby image, so you could even put loading equals lazy on this, or probably better to put it on these ones. But definitely we support lazy loading. How are you handling generating dynamically open graph images? I'm not quite too sure what you mean by open graph in this case. So if you want to elaborate on that, I can get back to that later. Cool. So that's all the free use cases, and I promised I would look at how we support Gatsby, the new Gatsby plugin, or the new Gatsby image plugin. So let's just quickly update these to do that. So if we instead replace this component we're using right now with the new one, the brand spanking new plugin everyone loves. I've been waiting to show this one off to everyone. So we've replaced that component from before with the new component, and we're going to, well, I'll come back to this. So let's go update the query. So the query, actually all we need to do is just update this to Gatsby image data. Of course, add a layout, because that's how the new plugin works. We change these to width and to heights. We get rid of this fragment, and then we change this to Gatsby image data. So we need to go over here and change this, and then lo and behold, or not, because I shouldn't have quotes, I think. Lo and behold, these images are going to load through Gatsby image data, and that's, or get the new Gatsby plugin image, and that's how simple it is to use the new Gatsby plugin image. Yep, that's definitely the new v3 and new error screen telling me that I don't know how to use the new plugin. And right now we support the new plugin with the first two use cases. So everything in GraphQL is supported with the new plugin. We're also soon going to be releasing a new component to make it even easier to use this for static images, and also a new hook. So definitely keep an eye out on our repo on GitHub. Again, that's Gatsby for more information about that. And let's go back and just finish off. So that was a look at the code. And that's pretty much the end of the workshop. So I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone for coming out. We have 120 people here, which is amazing, from everywhere around the world. Again, I want to reiterate, there's 3 ways to get in touch with us. So you can look at our website, imgix.com/contact us. Drop us an email at sales@imgix.com. You can put your email in the chat, and we'll reach out to you. There's my Twitter handle, Fred Fogerty on Twitter. And if you follow me and message me, I'll reply to you with any issues you have. We have a sign-up bonus of $300 for our service. So if Tim could drop the euro back in there, that'd be great. And as I promised as well, so this is our this is the plugin, and this is a GitHub repo where you can check out all the code that we covered in this workshop, and you can download and play around with it for yourself. And that's the end of this section. We're going to jump into some questions for the remainder of the time.
Yeah, Fred.
I already know there's
good job, man. You're a brave soul for doing the live coding for that.
I know, man. The coding, the demo gods gave me a pass for today. Nothing went wrong, so that's good.
So there's a lot of people that have actually asked to come on and into the video and ask a question. So I want to see, but it was some people earlier on. So just if any of you are there that requested, do want to come and ask a question, let us know. Like, I think
definitely.
Pete, Reza, Benjamin, Juan, Mike, a lot of you asked. So if any of you still want to come on, write something in the chat and we'll accept your invite. Or if you have a question or something like that, let us know as well.
For sure. While we're going still, I think someone, so for Open Graph question, still not too sure, but
no. So you know when you like share a site on Twitter or something, it looks up the OG image or the OG Twitter image, and that's what it displays.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So for Gatsby, is that like does that need to be like an absolute URL, like statically defined, or what's the deal with Gatsby on setting the OG image?
I mean, I think it should be fine. I mean, there's no difference between what we're doing and how Gatsby image works normally. So any image you specify with us will be fine. If you wanted to, you could hook into our plugin as well to generate Open Graph images for metadata or something.
Oh, Stephanie's saying maybe they want different aspect ratios. So yeah, you could definitely just set a couple different aspect ratios with imgix, right? Like, because we have a parameter AR that would set the aspect ratio for you.
Exactly, and you can
like the most common example I think about from customers is like Guardian, the newspaper, right? When you share an article on Twitter, it takes that main hero image of the news thing, it puts their banner on the bottom, puts the title of the article as text. That can be all done through imgix super easily, and a lot of people do that. So
yeah, I think it should be fine. But if you want to try it out and let me know how it goes, or you have any questions, my Twitter is there, and we can definitely have a chat about it on there.
Will you come to the booth for a little after this too, Fred, or no?
Definitely. Yeah, I'm down for it.
Okay. So even there's like 6 minutes left of the session, right? So even if someone doesn't have a question here, we can go to the booth and happy to look at your site or do any ideas.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think people are pretty happy. So, okay, Stephanie just asked a question. So if nothing in the CMS, nothing. So let me just actually, because you asked, so I'll just show you briefly what Contentful looks like for us. So this is the Contentful site, very basic one that runs this demo site. And let's just look at this blog post. All I've done is this image is hosted on Contentful. This is just an image on Contentful. So nothing changes here. And those images get pulled through to here. That's the image there. So yeah, definitely nothing changes on that front.
And a lot of people mentioned WordPress as their headless CMS. This would definitely work for that as well. And we also even have a great plugin for WordPress too. So happy to share that or show it better. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, we will most likely it should work out of the box with all Gatsby sources. Touch wood. But there might be some edge cases, but we are testing it with all the ones we can find. And if you do run into an issue with your specific Gatsby source, Strappy, I see a lot of people use Strappy. So if you run into issues with that, please do let us know. We will get onto that as soon as possible. But hopefully it should work with most Gatsby sources.
It does work with Drupal. The Drupal example is in the docs.
Definitely works with Drupal. There's a ready to go config with Drupal. With Sanity, yes, it works with Sanity. We don't have an example up here yet, but one of our customers uses Sanity, and he said it works great. So that's definitely working. See, so we have the most popular ones are WordPress, Contentful, and it seems to be like Strappy or Sanity or something next from the polls.
Yeah, you have 4 for Prismic there too.
Yeah.
5. So Data CMS already has it does work with Data CMS, but Data CMS also has a pretty good Gatsby plugin. And if you're using Data CMS, you're natively using imgix as well. So the reason I went through that long talk was out of the box, it should work pretty well with that already. Because I do believe they can do it that way, right?
Yeah, and actually, in the future, we'll be supporting the data side, kind of behind the scenes as well. So this plugin will be in there supporting that.
And
when can we expect the demo on YouTube? Yeah, that's a good question. It's not up to us, unfortunately. The team, the Gatsby team said they would do it pretty much as soon as possible. I think they said next week. Don't quote me on that, but hopefully very soon. Next week, apparently.
I think it works on rich text Contentful. I'm pretty sure that's what I built it as.
Yeah, I haven't specifically tried it out with that, but I don't see why not.
I mean, the image doesn't have anything to do with the rich text, right?
Yeah, I think it should be fine. As Tom mentioned before as well, if anyone still wants to come up on stage, you can let us know. We can bring you up here.
I see what they're saying. Like if they embed an image in the rich text of the body.
Yeah, that could be a little bit more complicated. So I'd have to look through there. But I mean, at worst case, what you can do is use, maybe you won't be able to use the GraphQL API, but that's just simple function, the last use case with the export, that'll be able to handle any image. So even if that image comes from Contentful, you can proxy it through there.
Yeah, we'll run through it and double check for you. If you want to give us your emails, if you're curious about it, we can find out and tell you the answer, Kwesi and Stephanie.
Yeah.
Or you can email me, Tom at imgix, or message Fred, or do anything.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that component is definitely possible to configure it to work with imgix. So yeah.
Also, if you do sign up for imgix to get that credit, we mentioned that there's a raffle to win a nice camera.
Very important. Yeah, win yourself a nice camera. Let's see if there's any questions I missed out while I was going through the talk.
Yeah, I don't think there were any. Does Gatsby? I didn't realize. Does Gatsby image not by default lazy load without anything, or?
It does. I think it was just making sure that we're still compatible with that, which is definitely true. We do that. Yeah.
I can't promise it shoots images with watermarks.
Yeah. So I think we're coming up to the end of our workshop, I guess. But should we jump over to our booth or something? Or?
Yeah. We're going to jump over to the booth. Thanks so much, Fred, again. You were amazing.
Yeah, again, thanks everyone for coming along. It's 100 people here. That was amazing. We'll jump over to the booth and happy to have more of a discussion there as well.
Yeah.
I
literally think more people came for just the demo part. Like you were saying, like, if you all leave for the demo, blah, blah, blah. There were actually more people for the demo part than the beginning presentation.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great rest of their GatsbyConf. And we'll catch you over the booth.